Hi, this is Brendan Davis from Bedrock Games and the Bedrock blog, and I'm here with Adam Balderstone for another episode of Bedrock and Balderstone, and we are talking about Torchwood Season 2. This is the episode Adam and Reset. So those are, what are we on to now? We're on episode 5 and 6, is that, or 6 and 7?
Boy, you put me on the spot.
5 and 6. This is 5
It
and
is
6.
5 and 6.
Yeah,
Okay.
5 and 6. So all right. So Adam is number one. This must have been an interesting episode for you because the title is Adam and the character is Adam.
That's right.
And,
Didn't relate to him at all, though, unfortunately.
Yeah,
And,
he's pretty. I should say he's pretty opposite. Everything about this guy is pretty opposite of Adam's demeanor. But basically, how would I put it? They show up to work at Torchwood at the beginning of the episode. And there's a new guy there named Adam that everybody is acting like they've known forever. And oh, go ahead.
So yeah, I immediately clued into what was going on because there's a Rick and Morty episode that has a similar, not quite the same, but a similar plot line. I'm like, oh, they're doing this plot. And I read a lot of Philip K. Dick too, so I was just like, okay. But yeah, I like that whole take though. That was fun.
And basically he's an alien entity of some kind that exists by feeding off of people's memories. Like if he can, like he sort of, it was a little unclear the specifics of it to me. Basically he required, them to be him. He was he was almost like, I don't know if he was meant to be like a gestalt of all of them or if he was his own thing and he just required their mental energy to be alive.
Yeah, I mean, there were things that weren't very clear about the way it worked. I mean, he needed them to remember him to exist, but I wasn't sure. He talked about being in the void before, and it's like, well, I don't know. I don't know where he came from or how they first encountered him.
Well, he's connected with the box, right? That box was definitely connected.
Oh, okay, yeah. So maybe the box originally made them remember him. I don't know. Yeah, it was but I wasn't quite clear on that at the time.
But it was funny because he's sort of like, number one, they deliberately made him kind of a douchebag. Like he just had that you didn't like this guy from the very beginning. He, the best that you could say about him is he's like whenever they bring a new character into a show and they try to make him a little bit like cool and they try to use that coolness to get like tension between that character and like an older character that's been in the show longer. Do you know what I mean? Like he felt like that kind of a character. And not only is he like a new thing in the episode that like you just have to sort of accept he's part of the team now, but he changes all of the members of the team as well. Like Owen becomes a completely different person and Tosh is completely different and Gwen forgets about Reese and there's all kinds of consequences. Yanto has a terrible experience.
Yeah, I felt bad for Yanto there, definitely. But but yeah, I don't know. This was a pretty good episode on the whole. My only issue with it came later in the episode when after they've realized what's going on and most of them have taken they get rid of him basically by taking a 48-hour amnesia pill, basically all roofying themselves so that they don't remember this guy anymore. But Jack goes down to talk to him one more time, and it's like, really? Why would you do that? Why would you let him in your head?
Well, this episode was interesting because we got a lot of backstory with Jack.
That's true.
And we got a lot of glimpses of other characters' backstories too, and they're all trying to remember who they were so that they can anchor themselves before I think they're taking a retcon pill, right?
Yeah.
It was interesting. The retcon pill scene, it was like a Eucharist. Like that felt like a religious moment in the show where Jack is passing out the retcon pill, and that was very, very, very much like a communion. But we learn more about Jack and Gray is his brother, and he was supposed to protect Gray when some kind of weird alien creature attacked the beach, I guess, and not the beach, but the area where they lived, and which had a beach, and Jack runs off with his brother. He loses him somehow, and then when he returns, his dad is dead and his mother is there. And so we got a much better sense of Jack's history, but also Owen apparently has some kind of mother issue going on too, because he was talking about, there's a line in there where he's quoting his mother, and he says, "I love you because you were my son, but that doesn't mean I have to like you." and then he talks about like something nice that she did for him that was striking, but it was something like any mother would have.
No. Actually, it was when she packed his bag for him to leave. That was what it was. Actually, I think.
Okay. I missed
that was the
it,
night. What? It's a really nice thing she did. Pack the bags. There you go. I packed your bags. Yep. You can get out of the house now.
So he's got all kinds of problems, which explains. I thought that actually explained quite a bit about him.
That worked. It was a very I mean, I'm not a big fan of when you give characters backgrounds to explain their personality, but I thought that worked very well.
Well, here's why Owen needed it. He's a little bit inexplicable because he's normally a character who wouldn't be that much of a jerk. Like a guy that is like Owen would. I don't know. In my experience, the thing that's hard about Owen to buy is that, he wouldn't. He's so picky about women, and he's so like, I just feel like he acts like somebody who's had tremendous success with love, but he doesn't look like somebody who's had tremendous success with love. If that makes sense, he doesn't look and act like a Lothario, or he doesn't. He doesn't fit the mold of a typical Lothario, but he is one. And that helps explain to me why he would be that way. Like there's something tremendously broken about him inside that is motivating a lot of this behavior. And so I think that works. But also Tosh completely goes in the other direction this episode. and she ends up the way that he sort of exploits her personality by planting memories of him as her boyfriend, and then he's able to use that to strengthen his position within the group. That
was a very interesting development there, because I mean it is having Tosh as one of the the inner clique and Owen as the outsider in kind of the Tosh position really. It was really interesting to see. I thought playing with the dynamics on this worked, and being dismissive. I mean, the fact that Owen, not just the fact that Owen is kind of loose, the fact that Owen has the crush on Tosh really cements the reversal there.
Yeah. And that was a little bit difficult. Like I almost didn't like that aspect of it, where I didn't like that he was changing everybody's personality. I felt the episode would have been stronger if they didn't use it to reconfigure. Do you know what I mean? Like I
do know what you mean. I thought the same thing.
Because it was like they were bringing in things. It was almost like it was like different rules for a different kind of episode. Like that's what I would expect if he was going in and he was like changing time or something. But I think like I understand that there's an explanation. He's changing memories and he's therefore changing the person. But that gap isn't entirely clear the first time you watch it, and I feel like, I don't know, it also just didn't work. Like I think it would have been more effective if Owen was still Owen and Tosh was still Tosh, but this guy was somehow there, and and then you would have been wondering the whole time, are they going to just keep him as a member of the team? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
it's I don't know. I'm thinking about the Owen change felt the weirdest, because it's like, well, I mean, I can see, okay, well, he changed his memories about his mother, I guess, so he didn't have this bitterness. But I mean, I don't know. It felt like he would have had to change too much about Owen, because Owen would still have all the memories of being kind of a jerk for years, wouldn't he? I mean, did he change every single memory about Owen in his entire life to make him that way?
And if he did that, how did Owen find those memories before he took the retcon pill? Like, what was, like that? It's, I don't know. It seemed a little bit. I'm less concerned about the plausibility than I am about it. Just I didn't like that dynamic in this episode. It was something that I don't think the episode needed.
Yeah, well, the Tosh change. I mean, Tosh was significantly different, but I could see simply implanting the memory that she's had this strong relationship with this guy that loves her, and that gives her a huge confidence boost. I could buy that, but it just felt like Owen. The changes were so huge; it felt like he would have to have spent days rearranging the memories in his brain to build this new history and persona. And I mean, and he'd just shown up. It's like he didn't have time to engineer Owen that much. See, because it made sense. Because the other thing too, they made it clear with Gwen that he accidentally erased Reese. It was like, so it's not like it's a precision instrument. It's like you throw a memory in there and it wipes something else out. So he didn't have the precision to create this new Owen.
I think I know what I didn't like about it with the Tosh and the Owen dynamic. I couldn't escape the fact that this was an actor and actress playing roles with that because I was realizing the whole time, oh, he's doing a good job playing Owen as a sheep. You know what I mean? Like the actor and the actress do fine. They were doing a great job with it, but it was like I couldn't ignore that they were just actors in a role as a result, because they changed the characters so much that I just sort of I just became very aware of that. But overall, I like the episode. I enjoyed the episode.
Oh yeah, it was a very, very enjoyable episode all the way through. I mean, there was at no point was I bored, which is always my key argument when I'm watching a Torchwood episode. Was there any moment where this felt boring and I kind of knew where it was going? And it totally passed that test. But yeah, and of course it called back, to the Gray thing from the first episode, where his old buddy from the Time Patrol, little time agent guy, mentions Gray at the end. So that's finally gotten its continuation. So we'll see where that all goes over the course of the season.
I think they have been doing a good job of planting those seeds over the course of the season this time. We'll see if you feel that it is. I mean, they don't have to do much to exceed the ending of last season, right? Like that's
last season was a pretty terrible finale. Yeah. They just have to. They just have to do a decent finale to top that.
Yeah, you know what last season felt like? It felt like they went through the D&D monster manual and picked a creature at random and made that the bad guy at the end.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, just having a better monster and better special effect that gelled with the series better. I felt like basically the people doing the special effects were also doing like a fantasy RPG computer game on the side. They're like, let's just use the assets we developed for this RPG and throw this Demogorgon in here, because that's that'll save us some work. But
you're not gonna like the Tarrasque at the end of this episode. But yeah, so I thought it was a good episode, and it was interesting, and like you said, it kind of gets to some of the roots. Like if you've seen Star Trek, if you've seen Red Dwarf, you've probably seen a plot like this, and it's just kind of a I don't know. I like these kinds of alien species that operate on really odd principles like this.
Yeah. Like I said, there's a Rick and Morty episode. It's a similar concept, but it's like these characters keep getting added again and again and again. It's kind of as if there were, over the course of the episode, about 100 characters being added to the show, and every time a new character shows up, everyone's like, "Oh, it's this guy again."
What do you think would have happened if they had kept him in the show? How would you have felt about that? If like this was just a new character and that's how they introduced him?
That I would have actually enjoyed that. If I'd wanted the character to be around. I mean, they deliberately make this guy someone you don't want to be around. But if it had, that would have been pretty entertaining if they had actually added a new character in that way.
I almost think it was a missed opportunity. Like it might have been interesting if they had done that. Because it would be very unexpected to keep this sort of character in a show, but with a few tweaks, I mean, even if they don't tweak him, even if they just kind of slowly change him over time after he becomes a team member, he could become. I mean, he certainly could become a. If they found some kind of equilibrium where he's not messing with their memories all the time, you know.
Yeah, well, it's the kind of thing you automatically, in the sense, being genre staff, you're like, this character will be gone by the end of the episode. And it's like, whenever a show reverses that, it's always fascinating. I mean, I'm loath to give any specifics, so I won't, but Farscape has one of the best episodes where a problem arises and there's a character that enters and you're like, okay, this character will not be around at the end, and they stick around and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, no, I like it when shows
they're
do
committing
that.
to this.
I like it when shows introduce characters in the middle of the show. And I haven't seen Farscape, so I don't know the example you're talking about. But when somebody gets introduced and you don't think that they're introducing a new character, and they do. And I think that this would have been a really great way to do it. I don't know how it would have affected the rest of the series, though. I don't think that we can have that discussion until the end of this season to really get into that. But
all right, we'll remember that for the finale of this season and bring back. How would this season have been if Adam
had stuck around? Now, did him being named Adam have any effect on you at all? Did it change any part of the viewing, or just?
Actually, no. I know some people. I had like one friend who would get kind of self-conscious about characters and things that had his name, but for me, no.
I mean, I'll admit if a Brendan shows up, I usually am more alert to them. Do you know what I mean? It'll affect my viewing.
Yeah, no effect.
So the next one is Reset, and this is a Martha Jones episode. We get Martha Jones back, which I thought was a really I even seeing it again, because the last time I saw it was, I think, 2011 or something. I was surprised at how delightful that is every time like the first time I saw it, I was like, it was like Martha Jones is back.
Jones.
Yeah.
This was a better return of Martha Jones than Doctor Who did itself, where this same season they had Martha Jones come back, and it was I found to be a pretty lackluster episode, but I thought this episode they really did something. I really enjoyed having Martha Jones around the whole episode.
And I don't remember if she's in the next one or not, but I know they at least have a voiceover with her in the next episode.
Okay.
So it might even be 2 episodes. I can't remember.
I was wondering about that. I was wondering if she was going to be a recurring character through the rest of the season.
I don't know how long they keep her on, but I feel like it's more than just this episode. Like I said, I think I saw this in 2011, so I'm a little rusty. But what was it? This episode is a murder mystery, sort of, where people are showing up dead with holes in their eyes, and what we find out is they've been getting injected with some kind of bleach-like substance. I can't remember the exact chemical name they use, but it's basically sounds a lot like bleach or something similar to bleach, and they're trying to purify the bloodstream. And what we learn is the people that have been getting killed, their medical records have been wiped. And it turns out that there's this whole other sort of secret government-backed organization that's trying to create a cure-all drug using alien larvae and injecting them into the bloodstream. It's a drug called Reset that basically resets your body the same way that when you call Apple or any kind of IT support and they have you reset your computer to your factory settings.
I guess they kind of got lost in the weeds with their analogy there, because they started with the analogy like it's like an antivirus where it goes through and finds the errors, and then halfway through they started talking about factory resets. Like those aren't the same thing. You could have used either metaphor and it would have been fine, but it's like switching the metaphor halfway through is unnecessary.
The resetting is that's the central idea, I think, is that
they should have just started with the factory reset.
If you have hepatitis, it will reset your body so that you just do not have hepatitis anymore. It even cures a woman who has HIV and somebody who has diabetes. And
Mm-hmm.
and the way that they find out about this is one of the people they're interviewing turns, or no, one of the victims had diabetes, and when they're talking to the victim's roommate, he explains this, and they're like, and he says, well, he was cured, and they're like, well, that's impossible, and that's sort of where you start to go down the rabbit hole of just how deep this thing is. And Martha Jones goes undercover, and all kinds of problems ensue. This gets into body horror where, spoilers, Martha Jones is injected with this reset, and the downside of using reset is the larvae hatch and kill you. But they sort of do a Chekhov's gun in this episode where Owen has this alien device that he just happens to be experimenting with that can focus a beam of energy on a particular point without affecting anything in between, and he's able to use that at the end of the episode to cure Martha. The first time he tries it on somebody, it doesn't work out so well, but he's perfected it by the time Martha's in danger. And there's like a nefarious doctor who's sort of overseeing the whole thing. And again, spoilers, Owen gets shot and killed at the end of the episode.
This is an aside, but the next episode's called Dead Man Walking, though, so I'm wondering how long he's going to stay dead. But and of course, so Owen of course gets tragically shot after accepting a date with Tosh. Yes. Of course, that was a very blanking on his name, the Buffy the Vampire Slayer guy,
Angel or something.
Well, no, I'm saying the guy that was the showrunner for it. It was a very Josh Whedon. It was a very, very Josh Whedon-esque move to have a character accept a date with someone. It's all going to work out. Then boom, they get shot.
I have to admit, I've never seen that show, but I wouldn't be surprised if there is a lot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer elements in Torchwood.
Well, it's RTD. Russell T Davies with both Torchwood and Doctor Who was like hugely influenced by Josh Whedon.
But yeah, her whole plot line has kind of been leading up to this. She's had a crush on Owen, and Owen's kind of either been oblivious or just doesn't really care. It's not really clear what it is. And even when he accepts the date, it's kind of like, but, he has all these caveats that he places on his acceptance of it, but she's happy. And you're like, oh, they're going to finally become an item, and then Owen gets shot at the end of the episode. And so it's, and again, we'll see where it goes from there. Yeah, I mean, obviously, episode is called, the next one is called Dead Men Walking. But we've also seen what happens when they dabble in that sort of stuff in the past too. So
yeah, exactly. We'll see what happens. That's my thing. I'm wondering. I'm like, will it work out? But
and his death was gruesome too. It was a gruesome.
It was a effective gunshot looking death there. But before we move on from the Josh Whedon thing too, just to give you an idea of his influence too, the first episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer introduces one character that is like kind of introduced in the pilot as part of the main cast, and they're dead before the end of the episode, which of course Torchwood does the exact same thing by having one of the members of Torchwood introduced, and she ends up dead at the end of the episode. So I'm saying that was a clear kind of it's a different plot line, but he was there's a strong influence there.
I remember when that was on the air, but I just never. I mean, I probably saw sections of it, but never really understood what the show was.
Yeah, I've only seen sections of it. I'm not claiming to be an expert on the show. I've seen Firefly and Dollhouse are the only shows of his that I actually have seen and seen completely.
Okay. I haven't even seen Firefly, so I'm.
Okay. I was actually actually now I think about it, the thing I'm referring to is actually in Dollhouse, and I'm wondering if Dollhouse came out before or after this episode. But so maybe there's like a cycle going where Josh Whedon started being influenced by stuff that was influenced by him. But yeah, getting back on point though, I wasn't as interested in the plot this episode as much as just the characters, having Martha
Yeah.
there and having her interact with Torchwood. I like that. The plot, I don't know, it was just kind of there. It kind of, I mean, I didn't hate it or anything, but it just
It was a
filled the
serviceable
space.
plot. I thought the mystery was a little bit nice. The but like you say, it was really more about Martha Jones and the death of Owen. Those are the two things that really I thought were the most significant. And I thought Martha Jones was that's the best part of the episode, is getting
Yeah.
more Martha Jones. They even played her theme song, which was kind of nice.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, but right before she enters,
hmm.
you get her theme song, and it's like, hey. But uh, but aside from that, I got to find too when Jack gets too high on his moral, high horse at the end of the episode. It's like, man, Torchwood does so many questionable
Yeah.
things all the time. I mean, oh, you're keeping these guys in little cages
Yeah.
in your basement. We would never keep aliens in little cages in the basement.
No,
It's like,
I thought that was the weakest part of the episode. Number
yeah,
one, this is a cure. They cured HIV with this thing. Like, I'm not
yeah.
saying that justifies the murder, but it certainly justifies replacing this guy with somebody else to oversee continued research of the
It,
larvae.
it, it
It's
made it very questionable for them to destroy all their research.
yeah.
It's like, wow, you just destroyed.
The cure to
Wow.
everything. Like I mean, obviously it's not ready. It kills people, but like there was
Yeah.
potential there. And certainly I don't think it doesn't seem like something that normally Jack. I mean, Jack is all about like high risk, high reward
Yeah.
things. So I just didn't. It's sort of the same problem that I had with the with the cash cow, where it's like, why is he suddenly so empathetic towards this creature when he can kill somebody without really, without really. I mean, the guy Adam says to him, "You always remember what you kill," but I don't feel like Jack really has
Uh,
the remorse that like Gwen would have if she killed somebody or a thing.
yeah.
And here I don't know. I mean, I again, maybe it ties to sort of the psychopathy thing that we were talking about last time, where these are things that a psychopath might empathize with, not he's expressing more empathy towards these alien bugs than he is towards humans. But I don't know. I just felt it was for plot convenience that they did it, and
Yeah.
and
He
and
just
his
wanted to kind of throw a speech in at the end there.
yeah, and his argument I thought was not very strong, like you said, because he works at Torchwood, and Torchwood does all kinds of sketchy things, and
Yeah, I watched these two episodes back to back, and it's like during the Adam episode, he even makes the comment, "Oh, you picked the wrong people to do this with because we kill aliens."
yeah,
It's just like, yeah, that's exactly. You're the guys that if aliens even do anything questionable, you murder them. I mean, there's a lot of aliens on the show that. It's like, well, I don't think they deserve to be killed, maybe incarcerated, maybe driven off the planet.
now now I guess in fairness, Jack is just imprisoning the Weevils. He's not exploiting their bloodstream to make pesticides or whatever they were.
Yeah.
But still, it's. I mean, he's like one step of cruelty removed from where they were. And he certainly has no compunction about killing at least memory draining aliens and
Yeah. Well, I mean, go back to Sleeper. I mean, here's just this woman who they don't know anything about her yet, and they abduct her and they like put her in this horribly painful brain
yeah.
scan device. And I mean, before they even knew that she was a sleeper for this alien
Well,
invasion, they were already had done horrible things to her.
I think what they were trying to do, I think they were trying to use this guy as a shadow character for Jack Harkness. Sort of like this is like he's operating on the same exact principles as
Yeah.
Jack, but he's just at a more extreme level. But I think they just miscalculated and didn't realize like they're already like at the same level. There's not really that much of a difference between them.
Difference.
Like
Yeah.
if you asked me before I watched this episode, if somebody told you that Jack Harkness was offered the cure for HIV, but some people are going to die in order to make it work, would he accept that as a, would he accept that exchange? And I think he's the sort of person who would. Like, that seems like, I'm going to say, like, people are dying, I'm going to save them, and some people are going to die in order for me to get this cure. So he's that kind of a ethical thinker. He makes a mental calculation on the spot of what's gonna do the most good for the most people right now, and we see that play out. I mean, you've seen season 3, so you know what I'm talking about.
I was thinking of season 3 actually.
So I feel like this is something where they're trying to plant the seed for season 3, but I don't think they realize the audience already gets that this is where Jack is. So,
it's not a journey. He's already traveled down that path long ago. So you're not going to get a plot arc out of this. It's just have that didn't. That's the only part of the episode that really didn't work for me. But as far as I have to say, as far as the detective work on the show, I liked they're doing all this, trying to research this organization, and they're kind of hitting dead ends and stuff, and Tosh hasn't found anything. Then Ianto makes the move that Tosh declares brilliant. He just like gets on the computer and finds they're looking for test subjects. It's just like, what, you just Googled the name farm and you came up with that? She's like, brilliant work. It's like, that would have been the first thing you did.
Well, also it was really a dangerous thing to do, as we saw, and you immediately knew how dangerous it was.
Oh, well, going in was dangerous. I'm saying, but Ianto finding the website for farm on the internet, and they're all like, wow, you found they have a website, we didn't think of that. But I have to say, it was weird that I forget who proposed the idea of going in, but it's like they were okay with the idea of going in, but then when they said it's Martha going in, everyone's like, ooh, Martha going in, I don't know, that might be too rich. It's like, why?
Well, I understand why Jack would be reluctant, because
but none of the others though. It didn't make sense to me. It's like,
I think she proposed it. I think
someone else. Well, someone brought it up. Said, okay, so one of us goes in.
But she was the one who volunteered herself.
She volunteered herself after that. I think it might have been Gwen who suggested it initially.
And I mean, obviously, it was what happened was going to happen, and I don't know how I feel about the doctor shooting Owen. I feel like that didn't work for me, to be honest. Yeah, I felt like that was, I don't know, just he didn't seem like that kind of character to me for some reason. Like, he seemed like a terrible person, but not the kind of person who like impulsively shoots Owen, the guy who was just praising his work earlier in the episode.
Well, the other thing too, there's that. Why pick Owen out of everyone to shoot? It would have made more sense for him to shoot Jack, because Jack was the one up in his face giving him the big moral lecture, and Jack was standing right there and was their leader. And aside from that, this guy was like bragging about how he was above. It's like what he was doing was official. Everything was sanctioned. It's like, he would have gone with a political revenge. It's like he turned it from being something where he was going to walk away scot-free from all of this and be able to, at his leisure, get revenge against Jack to, oh, now you're up for murder.
No, that was, because he could have become head of Torchwood if he wanted to after this.
Probably.
He had the cure to everything, and he could have easily painted Jack in the worst possible light. That part of the show, it felt like, well, we need Owen to die now, so he's going to pull out a gun. I mean, it wasn't totally out of the blue. Obviously, the guy would be mad. I just didn't buy it in that scene, and I don't know. I mean, I kind of like the suddenness of Owen's death in this. Like, I think that's the one part of it that I do like, but maybe it should have been somebody who wasn't as smart as that doctor or that scientist. Maybe like somebody who was just kind of lower on the totem pole. Well, at least they created the personality of that doctor in that episode. I mean, everything we're saying that makes it wrong is something a trait they decided to give that doctor. So it's like they could have just
written the Doctor differently.
If they just showed him like break a remote control or something out of anger, like if we just got some glimpse of this impulsive, but he just didn't seem impulsive. He seemed curious.
He was very calm and calculated and measured. Exactly. There was
like because like when they break in the middle of his big thing, he doesn't do the villain thing and freak out. He just starts talking to them and explaining everything, and he's totally calm. And
I everything I'm doing is sanctioned. You don't have any authority here. I have Whitehall at my back here. It's But yeah, me bringing up the break-in reminds me of one other thing that made me laugh. We've talked before about this show, the main characters being a role-playing group. I like that the first time Jack and Owen, I think, Jack and Owen go and see the Doctor. When they're being escorted out by security is still standing right there, and they're like, okay, we need to come back and break into this place now that we've been kicked out. And it's like they're standing right there. It was the classic role playing game thing. Are you guys actually seeing this right now in the room with the guy?
This was definitely a role play feeling episode, right down to like even the way they got in and all that stuff. It just it just felt like it. But yeah, so I mean, we're coming to the end of the episode here, so we're gonna have to head out. But yeah, so I mean, I don't know. Did you which episode do you think was the stronger one out of the two?
As overall stronger episode, I'd say probably the first episode, Adam, would be the stronger one, because for one thing, it seems like it's crucial to the whole season. I mean, whereas. Well, actually, I guess this one did have Owen get shot, but the Owen getting shot was so superfluous to everything else that happened. Yeah. It feels like aside from that, you could probably skip this episode and you'd be able to follow the rest of the season aside from that moment. But I don't know. I mean, it's a tough call because I really like Martha Jones' appearance in the second one, but that aside, I think I have to go with Adam as being the better Torchwood episode.
Yeah, I'd say that's about right for me. That like the first one was definitely the stronger episode, and the second one, it was good purely because Martha Jones was in it. That was the thing that and that makes it a good episode in my book. But the episode itself isn't what it wasn't the writing of the episode. It was that Martha Jones.
And it's not just Martha Jones. They did a great job of having her interact with all the cast members as she went through. It felt like, I feel like it's Martha Jones talking to these characters. It all came together.
Yeah, it didn't. Yeah, sometimes when the actor gets wheeled into like a spin-off series, you can just you can see the frustration on their face. Like it just doesn't. They're not necessarily all there. The writing isn't all there, and this didn't feel like that. This felt like this was like a solid day of work for everybody.
And I mean also, I mentioned the Doctor Who episode where Martha Jones comes back, and that made the grievous error of having her replaced by an alien doppelganger within like the first few minutes. And it's like, well, I was excited about seeing Martha Jones back, but now we've got like robotic alien Martha Jones for an episode, which isn't, I don't know.
Yeah, well, you got. But yeah, this one I thought was good. I thought it was very good use of her. I think she's a really great companion, so I always like seeing her. And we didn't get it. We never got sick of her either because she was only in one season, right?
One season, and she went out on her own terms. That's another thing I always give her credit for. It's like the show kind of fell in love with the idea that a companion would never want to leave the Doctor, and so you end up with these tragic separations between the Doctor, and it gets really maudlin. But she's like the one who just like, you know what, I need to get on with my life. I'm gonna go do my thing. It's been cool, but I'm not hanging around here forever. And I mean, that was her departure scene is the best companion departure in this whole series. I
would agree, because every other one ends in tears pretty much. And which is fine, but it's a little overdone. Like when everybody gets locked in time, or obliterated, or sent to another dimension,
as their mind wiped.
That one that's the one that's really hard to. For some reason, the Donna, her conclusion felt like the most hellish of all the conclusions for sci. Even though other people are being, sent to other dimensions and all kinds of horrible things. Killed.
Well, it ruined the whole season. Was pretty much, Donna's development as a character, and it's like it undid everything that happened over the season, pretty much, from a character perspective. So it's like, but yeah, I don't know. It was so yeah, this was I'd say out of any of the Doctor Who returns of the companion episodes, this beat any of them, I would say.
Yeah. No, and I think it shows what a good companion she was. She was she was really a good companion, and it's one of the at the time when she first came on, it was easy to overlook that because she's coming in after Rose, and Rose has been on the show for a while, and Well,
the show gave her the whole crush on the Doctor thing, which weakened her character in a few episodes here and there, but she was good despite that.
Yeah.
And, so I think that made people, not appreciate her quite as much as they would have.
But I don't know. In hindsight, I think she's one of the better companions. But yeah. So we will head out, and we will be back probably on Sunday with some more Torchwood, and on Friday we're doing Vampire Cleanup Department, which I think everybody's looking forward to. And I know we have other things cooking. I also have a small review of Green Dragon Inn if people want to check that out on the podcast. It's a Polly Kwan movie. Also has Lolier and Yuhua in it, and it's sort of similar to the Dragon Gate Inn movies, but a little different, a little bit like the opposite of how Dragon Gate played out, and it's quite a bit of fun. So all right, so we will let you go, and we will talk to you later.